I have been working through doing it for the fun of it. Homer, the Iliad of Homer. A little bit about what I'm doing. I'm retired. I'm a retired seminary professor, and classical Greek was not something that I majored in. My first doctorate was in biblical studies, and my second, my PhD, my THD in biblical studies, my PhD was in Hebrew and ancient Near Eastern languages. So I enjoy languages, and I've been teaching myself Homeric Greek, having some fun with it. So I'm not coming across as, let's say, a Hellenistic or classical scholar, but I'm enjoying it. And I'm trying to follow the words of Thoreau, who said the student may read Homer in the Greek without danger of dissipation or luxuriousness. And he said, in doing that, we must laboriously seek the meaning of each word and line. And so I enjoy I enjoy Thoreau's Walden, and I thought, well, this will be a nice challenge for me. I'm also doing a number of other videos, especially in Hebrew, classic Hebrew text, which is my field, from the Hebrew Bible, and New Testament Greek text, as well as Akkadian. We've done some Akkadian grammar, inductive Akkadian grammar, and the epilogue of Hammurabi. And so I'm doing this to stretch my thinking more, especially at this time in life, and I'm enjoying it. So again, feel free to differ with me, to correct me, but basically I'm working through the Homeric text slowly, and we actually have worked our way up to line 32. And so far in the Iliad, we've been seeing how Achilles' wrath is the subject which brought sorrow and death to the Achaean camp. And then Chryses, the priest of Apollo, had come to the Achaeans asking to ransom his daughter, who had been taken captive by Agamemnon. Agamemnon refuses, and he harshly dismisses the priest, who now is going to pray to Apollo to avenge him for what has happened. So I've worked my way up through line 31. We're beginning at line 32. And what I'm doing is I'm reading from a text that is on Google Books. It's the classic interlinear translations, the Iliad of Homer. And what I find it very helpful. It was first published in 1888. Very helpful in that it goes through the Homeric text in an English order, word order. So once you learn the vocabulary, once I'm learning it, I can go back then and read the actual text itself. So this is what we're doing. And if you'd like to follow along, you might look at that on Google Books, the classic interlinear translation. I find this to be very helpful in that it goes through, like I said, the English word order. So if one is interested in hexameter meter and how to read it, then one needs to go to the Homeric text itself and find people who are doing that online. I'll be working on inductive grammar, This is something I personally enjoy, both in Hebrew and Greek and Akkadian. I enjoy the grammatical analysis and trying to understand the text through that medium. So basically, we are now on line 32, and Agamemnon has dismissed the priest in a rude way. And so we pick it up, Hos, and I'm reading, like I said, from the book, the Iliad of Homer, a classic interlinear translation. Hos ephata dechageron edasin kai apethata mutho. That is, as he spake, as he spoke. I'm sorry, thus he spoke. And the old man feared and was obeying. Notice ephata is from phemi, to speak. It is the aorist indicative middle, third person singular from phemi. So as he spoke, this old man feared. Edesin. Geron means old man. Edesin is from meaning to fear, and it's from the root dedo, to fear. And so he feared. Aorist indicative active, third person singular from dedo. And apethata, he was obeying. Apethata is your imperfect indicative active, indicative middle, excuse me, imperfect indicative middle, third person singular from pathomai. That is, or pathomai. He actually was obeying. Literally the speech, or to the speech of Agamemnon. Debe akeon para thena paluf floispoia thalases. And he went silent, or silently, along the shore of the much roaring sea. Notice here, he went de bay. Bay is from bino, to go. It is the second aorist indicative active, third person singular from bino. He went silent, an adverb, silently, showing how he went. Parathena, along the shore, palu floispoia, of the much roaring, and this is an adjective here, meaning a loud roar. The loud roaring sea, thalases. So as he's going back through beside the loud roaring sea, he then is going to pray to Apollo. Notice the next line. The epitacha geraias kion apanuthe erata pala anakti Apolloni. That is, and then the aged man, ha geraias, this, or the aged man, going, kion. Notice kion means to go. And here we have, or to depart. Here we have a participle, a present participle, nominative masculine singular from kio. So going far off, afar, far off, he was praying. Erata. Erata, to pray, is from ara amai, meaning in the root to pray, and perfect indicative active third person singular from ara'amat. So he was praying many things, pala anakti, to the king, anakti Apolloni. That is, to the king Apollo, to the god that he was a priest of. Tan eukamas leto teke. That is, whom we could say fair-haired or beautiful-haired. Eukamas is looking at the hair, the beautiful hair, and whom beautiful-haired Leto bore. Leto is the mother of Apollo and the wife of Zeus. So whom fair-haired Leto Tekka bore. Tekka is from the root tikto, to bear. Here we have an aorist indicative active, third person singular. So whom the fair or beautiful haired Latona bore. And then we continue on. Kluthi mu argurat takse, that is, hear me, O you with the silver bow. Notice Kluthi here is the aorist imperative second person singular from the root kluno. So hear me, and mu here is enclitic of a mu. Hear me, arguratakset. Here we have, literally, it means silver bow, from argurataksas, silver bow, and we would render it with the silver bow. Excuse me, please. So hear me, O you with the silver bow. Speaking of Apollo, Has amphibebekas krusein, who has protested or protected or encircled with her protective, with his protective care, krusein. And notice here, amphibebekas is from amphibino, and it means to encircle or to protect. Here we have the perfect indicative active, second person singular from amphibino. So who has protected Chrysain? Chrysain here is the city, town of Troad, where Apollo was worshipped. So who has protected or encircled Chrysain, te sathein killa, and divine, and here we have sathein, means that which is most holy. So he has protected most holy killing. And killing means it's a town of Troad. And so the Apollo is the one who protects. He's the god that protects that town. Te ifi, here we have an adverb that has a dative ending. And ifi, powerfully, anases tenedoia, and rules powerfully, or powerfully is ruling tenedos. Notice anases here is your present indicative active, second person singular from anaso, who is ruling tenedos, O Smithu, O Smithian. And here, uh, this word has the idea of like the mouse god, the god who was to protect from mice, in my understanding, and but yet he's going to appeal to this god to not protect. I mean, to allow the plague by shooting his darts that would really bring a plague that the mice would be believed to cause. So, O Smithian, epate epi erapsa toi kariena neon, that if ever I have decked or roofed, literally this word erepsa means to roof over. It's from erepho is the root. So if ever I have roofed over, here we have the aorist indicative active third person singular from erepho. If ever I have roofed over for you, kariana neon, for you, your, understood probably here, beautiful temple. Notice karena or karena means that which is beautiful. We have an adjective here, beautiful, and then neon means temple. So if ever I have roofed over, and I have, and he probably, the priest, oversaw the work that was being done in the temple of Apollo and had a part in its building. So because of that, he's now appealing for Apollo to help and send the darts against the Greeks. A de pate kata ekaya. If indeed ever I have burned toy for you, piona meria taron ede igon. That is, if I have burned for you, and the implication is I have fat thighs of bulls or of goats. Notice here the akea, kata akea is the verb kata kaio, meaning to burn. And here we have it in the aorist indicative active. If ever I have burned, first person singular from kata kaio. So if ever I have burned for you fat thighs, piona meria. Piona means fat, and meria means thighs. So if ever, and we have it in the neuter plural, so if ever I have burned for you fat thighs, and now we go to the genitive, tauron ede igon, of bulls or of goats, then hear what I am requesting you, is his request to Apollo. So he goes on, krenon moi tade eldor, accomplish for me then this desire. Krenon is an aorist imperative, second person singular from the root krai, io, that is accomplish for me, or accomplish, excuse me, to accomplish, krai io, accomplish, and here we have the aorist imperative, second person of that root, singular. Accomplish for me this toda eldor, this desire. Eldor means desire. So accomplish for me this desire, in order that Dainaoi Tiseon Emma Dakrua Soisi Belisin, that the denies, that the Greeks, and by the way, this deny is used just interchangeably, it seems, here in Homer with the idea of the Greeks. So that the deny may atone, tisseon, for my tears. Emma dakrua soisi belisin. And notice tisseon is the optative from tino, meaning to atone. And here we have the aorist optative, third person plural from tino, that the Danaans may atone for my tears, Emma dakrua, by means of, and here we have dative of means, soisi belisin, by means of your darts. And belisin means darts. So, having gone through those lines, we will stop there. Just a summary of some of the vocabulary. Kluo means to hear. Agurat taxas means silver bow. Amphibino means to encircle. Clusain is the town of Troad, where Apollo the Smithius was worshipped. And Zatheas means very holy. And Kilos is the town of Troad. Iphi is an adverb meaning with might. Anaso means to rule. Erepho means to roof over. And Tenedos is an island near Troy. Phemi means to speak. Dado means to fear. Kaluf floisbas means loud, loud roaring, sea, a term that will often be used in Homer. Kio means to depart. Apadiutha means to be afar off, away. Ara'amai means to pray. Eukamas means beautiful haired. Leto is the mother of Apollo by Zeus. Kryao means to accomplish, and Teno means to atone. So those are some of the basic vocabulary words of this section. So reading it in the order that Homer has, it would read then this way. And let me just find it here. Here we go. We're talking about the after he is harshly dismissed. Hos efat edesindageron kai apethata mutho. Be dakelon parathina paluf lois boya thalases. As he was speaking, the old man feared and was being persuaded, or was persuaded by his word, and he went silently along the sea of the loud roaring sea, along the shore, I should say, of the loud roaring sea. Pala depet apanuthekion Erath ha-gerayas. Then many things afar off, going, he was praying, the old man was praying. To Apollo, Apolluna anakti tan eukamas teka leto. To kingly Apollo, who Leto, fair-haired Leto bore. Then he gives his appeal to Apollo. Kluthimoi arguratax chas crucein amphibebekas. That is, hear me, the one with the silver bow, who has encircled crucein. Kilan tetsathein tenedoya te ife anases. Kilan and holy Tenedas, and where you both mightily with power rule, O Smithian. And then that's the next line. Smithu epatatoi kare antapi neon erepsa. O Smith, if ever I roofed over the temple, notice here, kare and epineon erepsa. If ever I roofed over the temple, and what is interesting here, he is appealing to the god Apollo to respond. Here the word is beautiful. If ever I roofed over the beautiful temple, then please respond to me. And he probably didn't do it personally. There were workers that did it, but he probably, as the priest, oversaw it. And then e de pate toi kata piona meri ekea. Or if ever, we continue, formerly I burned fat Maria, fat thighs. So in other words, I've done sacrifice and to you and worship you. Of bulls, Tyron eda igon, Tademoy klenan eldor. Of bulls or goats. Then he's noticed how he's appealing, as we saw, to Apollo. Then hear my desire, or respond to my desire. So he wants Apollo, as we said, to respond to his desire. And he wants, literally, krenon then means accomplish. So accomplish for me this desire. Tisean dainaoyame dakrua soisi belisin. That the Danaans, they might atone for my tears with your darts. And so we talked about the tiseon from tenno, meaning to atone, the optative, third plural here, aorist optative. So that is the reading of the text in the way Homer writes it. What I find helpful is to go through the other text to pick up vocabulary, and then Homer puts it in more of his poetic style with the hexameter to then read it and work my way then through the vocabulary from having read in the interlinear and looking at the grammar. So I hope this will help someone else. I'm enjoying it. And again, one more reading. I'll try to read through it just straight through. Hos efat edesen da geron kai apethata mutho. Be da kelon parathina pa luf floisboia thalases. Pala de pet apenuthe kion eratha geraos. Apollona anakti tan heu kamas teke leto. Fluthimoi arguratax has crucen amphi bebekas. Kilan tetsathein tenedoia te ifi anases. Smithu e pate toi carient epi nean erepsa. De pate toi kata piona meri ekea. Taron de agon tode moi grenan eldor. Tisean da neoi ema dakrua soisi belisin. Well, I encourage anyone to listen to those that read it fluently, who basically read it with the hexameter. I was never trained in any of that, but I'm enjoying working my way through. Thank you for listening. I hope this can help someone, especially in learning the vocabulary and reading in Homer.